Hello and welcome to Beauty and the Biz, where we learn the business and marketing side of plastic surgery. I'm your host, Catherine Maley, author of Your Aesthetic Practice, What Your Patients Are Saying, as well as consultant to plastic surgeons to get them more patients and more profits. So today's special guest is Dino Elyassnia. I'm going to ask him to pronounce that eventually. Now, he's a board-certified plastic surgeon practicing in my neighborhood, San Francisco, and the surrounding Bay Area. And he's been in practice for over 11 years now. Now, Dr. Dino, as his patients call him, because you can hear his last name is a tough one, he obtained his medical degree at the University of Southern California School of Medicine, where he was top 100% of his class, and then he scored in the top 100% or 1% nationally. So he's a smarty pants. Now, he did his training at the University of California, San Francisco, and he did a fellowship at the New York Eye and Ear Infirmary. Dr. Dino then joined the Marten Clinic of plastic surgery, and you know that is Dr. Timothy Marten, who has a very big name in our industry. He's a world-recognized plastic surgeon. Now, Dr. Dino is sought after as a speaker at the national and international plastic surgery meetings on facial rejuvenation and fat grafting. He also does a lot of writing in the Medical Society books. So, Dr. Dino, welcome to Beauty and the Biz.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here with you.
Sure. So just tell me, where did you start? Did you come from New York or San Francisco? Are you East Coast or West Coast?
West Coast, Bay Area, South Bay. I grew up in San Jose, went to high school there.
No kidding.
And then kind of from there went off.
Oh, good for you. Most people end up in California somehow later, but you came here. You were started here.
I came back. Yeah, I did do the thing in New York for a year, but other than that, I was always in California.
Okay.
New York was a great experience. I loved being there, but ultimately I wanted to be kind of closer to home and closer to family.
The New York, isn't that a different, when you look at the East Coast versus the West Coast, how different is it?
Yeah, very different. At least within obviously there's so many differences, but
Yeah.
in a plastic surgery world, there's definitely different styles between the two coasts that you can see, and I think it mirrors the socially the society as well. Yeah, it was an interesting experience.
I do a lot of consulting in New York, and I'm originally from Chicago, so I have that, let's get it done right now, let's get to the point, da-da-da. But I also do a lot of consulting in, let's say, the southern states, and it's all, I need to, put a muzzle on me and just chill. Different, I think human beings are the same, basically the same, but I think we all have a different road of getting there, and we all have our nuances, and boy, New York is tough crowd.
Totally.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, they're it's a fast-paced moving.
Yeah, not right now, but yeah. So tell me, I love talking about the journey. So how did you end up? Did you wake up one day and say, "I want to be a plastic surgeon"? Are you one of those people who, at 3 years old, you knew what you wanted to do, or?
Well, I wanted to be a heart surgeon when I was little, actually.
Wow.
So I always wanted to be a surgeon for some reason. Yeah, when you're young, I don't think you really know, but so somehow it actually worked out. But yeah, I had some family members that were surgeons, and I wanted to do something really challenging, and I thought that was sort of aiming high, and then as I kind of went along through med school, I sort of cardiothoracic surgery has a really hard lifestyle. It's hard to ever have a life outside of it, and plastic surgery just really appealed visually to me. I guess I was a little bit more of a aesthetic kind of person, or had a little bit of artsy side than I thought, and I was just kind of drawn to it once I did rotations, and then that was it. So I mostly started off on the path I always wanted to be on, but I veered a little towards plastic surgery, which turned out great because I really love what I do.
But when you graduate, first of all, you've only been out 11 years, so maybe it has changed. But while you were in med school, were they also teaching you the business and marketing side of plastic surgery?
Zero.
Really?
Zero.
Isn't that insane? Okay, so
yeah.
were you on the side trying to figure out, what is your plan to enter this marketplace with, thousands and thousands of others?
Yeah, I wasn't, I kind of, my plan was mostly how, what kind of practice do I want? But somewhere around my fourth or fifth year of residency training. So even in residency training, where you're really getting trained to go out in the world, you still don't learn anything about business or marketing. Okay. I think some specialties do it better than others, but there's this sort of feeling within general surgery and plastic surgery, it's very academic, and the idea is that if you're thinking about making money, you're just somehow, like not principled enough, or, you have poor values. So they kind of almost frown upon, business education in a way, and it's just not the real world. So we didn't learn anything. And, to be honest with you, I visited Dr. Marten, and we kind of hit it off a little bit, and he offered me, I was going to do my fellowship in New York, and he said, when you get back, you might want to consider joining us. And to me, it had nothing to do with business. I just, admired him so much, and the office was beautiful, and the practice just seemed amazingly run. So it was just like this gift landed in my lap. I didn't really plan much about business, to be honest with you. I just fell into something that was amazing, and I just got really lucky, to be honest with you.
Okay, that was a gift, because
it was, totally.
Did you know how big of a deal he was?
I know, yeah, I did know, I did. Yeah, I mean, the business side of things, you just kind of learn along the way. Over these 10 years, I talked to a lot of friends that, they're building from scratch, and, so I've watched a lot of people do it. But from my standpoint, I just had to adapt to this nice culture and business that was already built there. And he ran and still does run a very sort of good practice, I think all the way around, the way I would like to do it myself. So I've just had to kind of integrate myself and sort of, again, I've just been really lucky to learn from that side of things.
All right, and that's the pearl. If you can hook up with somebody who's been there, done that, and you can role model whatever they've done, why reinvent that wheel? As long as you can like park your ego a bit, because you're not the Lion King now. You're part of.
Yeah, that was fine with me, because he was welcoming. He wanted me to succeed. He helped me genuinely. Genuinely wanted to see me do well. And how am I? I mean, everything I've thought of, he's been spent, that comes to my mind, he's probably thought of a million times already, 20, 30 years into it. So I just, just tried to kind of learn, basically, and that's it. And still to this day, I don't have much to share. We enjoy sort of the camaraderie, and, we bounce things off each other sort of in a technical way, because that's really where we enjoy things, the art of surgery. And, we both have a very good passion for technically what we're doing. So that's been great. But really from the business side of things, I don't really think I've added much. I've just tried to really integrate the general philosophy, of how we do things, which is very sort of patient-based. Just, be a good role model for the staff, center everything on providing a good experience for patients, and really try to get the staff to buy in, and then, let them do their jobs, kind of thing. That's really what I think when I think about running a good business. I think it's sort of having the right values and being a good example. To me, that's like the core of it.
When I watch doctors try to work together, I always go back to the books that I used to read in business school, which was, you've got to share the same values if you're going to both be leading that team. Because if one of you has one set of values and it comes across, and the staff's like, what are we doing? So I'll bet if you actually dissected it, I'll bet your values are super similar. Because has it been this simple, or have there been challenges of working with someone else's staff, or when there's a fork in the road?
No, very little. In the beginning, very little, because I think, again, I was welcomed. I felt wanted to, I felt wanted, and I felt people were helping me, they genuinely wanted me to succeed. So even if there were bumps in the road, as long as I felt that energy was there, then I didn't mind. Those are easy to manage, actually. So at the core of it, I felt like I was kind of accepted, wanted, and they wanted me to succeed. Everybody in the office, and again, that all just starts with Tim, kind of top down. Right. Setting that example for everyone, and basically, I've tried to learn as much as I can from him. So even though maybe some of our values are similar, he's just a great role model, and I've tried to integrate as much as I can from him, and kind of like learn a lot of new values from him too. So it's been easy to just kind of fall back and let him be our leader, because he is a great leader.
He is. By the way, do you have your own operating suite within your building or your practice, or do you
we do. So we have sort of everything in the office. The clinic side, we have one operating room, which the two of us share. So basically, we're operating 2 to 3 days a week each. We have the overnight suite that patients stay at for generally for the larger cases, the facelifts, that sort of thing. And then we've been in the process of developing a more extended stay option, which for out of town, Dr. Marten has a lot of out of town patients, so giving them a place, a very nice kind of curated place to stay for a little bit of a longer period of time. That's kind of in the works. So
well, you're surrounded by 5-star hotels. Can't you just set up a system?
There's that too, but he's quite particular in terms of the service he wants to provide. So I think it's great to have it all encompass, their whole experience.
So if I have a facelift, will a limo pick me up and whisk me away to the Napa Valley to a 5-star resort? Is that the kind of thing he's doing?
That can be arranged if you like, whatever.
But is that the kind of thing he's talking about, or just keep them nearby?
No, it's nearby. It's actually just a condo, kind of like an Airbnb.
Gotcha. Yeah, that makes so much more sense. Okay.
Yeah, it's very close to the office, so it'll allow us to visit them if necessary, and just kind of like an Airbnb, something a little more like an extended stay option.
All right, that's terrific. Now, do you share staff, or do you have your own staff? He has his own staff?
No. Yeah, everybody is shared. We've been that way since day one, actually.
Gotcha. Do you have your own coordinator, or do you share a coordinator as well?
We have 2 coordinators in the office, but one is primarily more mine, but they actually overlap. So we pretty much share the 2 coordinators as well.
All right, and just out of curiosity, when it comes to leads, new leads coming in,
yes,
does everybody call and say who they want, or if they say, I just want one of them, how does that work out?
Yeah, that's a great question. Generally, people are calling, asking for one of us. We're very separate. He's so much further ahead of me in terms of experience. So he's got his own routes of kind of marketing, and the way patients come to him, which is almost a lack of marketing, to be honest with you.
Yeah, we'll talk about that next.
Very entrenched kind of word of mouth. It's crazy. Whereas, I'm in that sense, at least, a little bit more modern in the approach. And I think these avenues create, where the leads come through, basically. So, occasionally we'll get a patient that hears about both of us and might come across both of us. And then we're fine if they both want to, if they want to consult with both of us. We just sort of let it happen organically. And if they choose one or the other, neither of us will mind, actually.
Is there a big price difference between the two of you? So they could start with Tim and work their way down, or?
Yeah, there's not a huge price difference, but there is. And we're very open about that. If you have, 10, I don't know how many years difference we are now, but, 15, 20, whatever years difference, then you've earned a lot to be able to do that, I feel, So, and that, every patient's different. They all have different criteria for what they choose. And, that we just kind of, now, from a philosophy standpoint, at least for facial aging surgery, we're very, very similar, because I'm basically have copied him. He's my teacher.
Correct.
And I pretty much do everything he does. In the beginning, I just tried to copy. I tried to be the best copy I could be. And now that I've sort of gotten to that point and I'm mostly there, Now I can maybe start to find my own path a little bit, but I didn't want to try to do that too soon because you can miss so many things that you can still learn.
Right.
I'm still learning from him so much, but at some point I'll have to kind of try to push things forward from everything that he's taught me. So I don't know if I'm there yet, but
I'll tell you
so for the most part, our products are sort of similar right now in terms of what we are.
Okay, but from a business point of view, it's really helpful when, like, let's say your receptionist has this caller who just got sticker shock, who just heard Tim Martin's numbers and got sticker shock. It's really helpful to say, because you can hear the caller's going to hang up, and it's really helpful to say, well, I do have another option for you, if price is the issue, and then but you don't sell you as Kmart. You just say he does have an associate who has 11 years of experience. However, he does have considerably less pricing, rates. Are you interested in that? I like using that because you'd rather Tim Martin would rather have half of something than zero, 100% of nothing. Or both of you would,
Yeah, of course. We'd rather keep it in the clinic. And the way you're saying it is right. You have to be delicate how you're saying it.
Yes.
And obviously you know how to do that. I mean, but funny enough, it hasn't come up that much.
No kidding.
In 11 years, I don't think, I can't think of many patients who basically kind of consulted both and sort of went my way because of cost. I think when they seek him out, maybe they already know that to some degree. Generally, they go his way, it just doesn't come up that often. Funny,
I just know a lot of consumers still do not realize how much good plastic surgery can cost. And some of them just are completely ill-informed or uninformed, or they've been on the wrong websites. And sticker shock can often be a big issue, So I'm just always trying to address it. How do we, first of all, how do we not get to that point where they have sticker shock? Like, shouldn't we have had some discussion before that? And especially in your building, how many plastic surgeons are in your building, by the way? I need to count that up.
I would guess maybe 7 to 10, something like that. There's a lot. Yeah, we're not as many dentists, but definitely a lot of plastic surgeons.
My very first client was on the top floor of the penthouse. Isn't that funny?
Really?
Yeah. And whatever. That's a long story. Yeah, but okay. So business-wise, you're very happy with your business model. Are you a partner? Are you a associate? Like, is there any plan for you two to expand together, or?
I guess I'm an associate technically. I don't even know necessarily how to describe it. I mean, he owns the practice, but we basically share everything.
Okay.
Share all the costs. So I don't know. We sort of function like partners in a way. It's the same sort of setup we had when we started, and we've never really gone back and changed it because everything's been fine. So, we're not really, I'm not really looking to expand so much as I am. I'm looking to ultimately, my kind of career goal is, at this point, I've matured to the point where I've really focused on the surgeries that I really love doing. I really love doing facial aging surgery and primary rhinoplasty. Those are the two things I love. And all I'm really trying to do is keep a steady flow of those patients so I can do those surgeries. Gotcha. I mean, I really don't, as long as my 2 to 3 days a week surgery schedule is full doing those two procedures, I'm happy. That's all I want to get to. And I just want to keep doing it better and better, technically do it better, provide a better experience for patients, expose it out to the outer world better. And then, professionally, I do enjoy sort of teaching it and that sort of thing as well. But that's it. It's not much growth as it is sort of refinement. That's kind of how I think of it. So from a business standpoint, I mean, you can run circles around what I know. I don't think I can really provide a lot there, but I think at its core, it makes a lot of business sense because it's very old school and simple. But if you're providing a good product and patients feel like you're being very straightforward with, what you're marketing to them, what you're providing to them, how you take care of them, people gloss over that a lot, but that's, I think, the big chunk of what's important in what we do. So without getting too fancy, I feel like I'm basically being a good businessman. Do you know what I mean?
Right. And there's no one way to do it either. Have you looked at your revenues, surgical versus non-surgical? Are you involved in the non-surgical, or that's a non-issue for you guys?
Well, I initially, when I first started, I didn't have any cases to do. I wanted to do surgery, obviously, but I didn't have much. And Dr. Marten was gracious enough to give me a lot of his injectable patients, basically. So I started off building an injectable practice, and then slowly, as the surgery practice grew, I started trying to transfer those patients to our nurse injector. And she's been great. She's built up a nice practice. And we haven't aggressively built that. And maybe that's an area it would be nice to grow a little bit, because it doesn't require, again, it's just taking care of our own patients, basically. But it's been a little tricky right now. She's been on maternity leave. COVID's kind of happened. So we've been, the injectable side's been suffering a little bit. But yeah, that is something we want to build up, at least. We have the infrastructure for it, we have the space, and we have kind of the patient volume. So from a business side, that's sort of easy to build, and it's kind of, we want to take care of our own patients. But yeah, that could be helped a little bit. Especially we do a lot of facial surgery, so we can definitely integrate kind of facial, non-surgical a little better. So that is an area of growth. But again, I'm not looking to expand it so much that you open up another office, and it's a more limited expansion, I guess.
Speaking of the non-surgical, how do you, as a surgeon, because you want to do surgery, and the patients nowadays, they've heard, oh, I can just fill this up. I just need some filler. They don't even know, how do you present filler versus fat grafting versus facelift? Because that becomes a very long discussion, and it gets complicated for the woman who's trying to figure out. First of all, you insulted her. She's like, I don't need a facelift. I just need a little something, something. Because I am that woman. But how do you have that conversation in a reasonable amount of time?
In brief, yeah, I kind of like to summarize it in a few ways to make it simple. I basically like to tell patients, in the upper 2/3 of the face, you can get away. So I like to talk about it location-wise and age-wise, sort of two ways to mention. In the upper 2/3 of the face, you can get away with injectables for a long time, and maybe even kind of permanently if you really want it. Now maybe eventually you might need something for the eyes, but I think in the mid-face and around the eyes, volume is the big issue. So adding volume, which you can do with fillers, you'll get a great result, and you might not need a lot more than that. As you get to kind of the jawline, neck area, at some point, if there's enough laxity, fillers can get you there a little bit, maybe in the 30s and 40s, but definitely by mid-40s and up, once you have laxity, the only solution is surgery. And I think there's a lot of effort that is put by some of the non-surgical people to push the limits of things like lasers and Ulthera and thermage. And my personal belief is those just don't work at all, and they actually make surgery more difficult for me. They cause more damage to tissues. Yes. Yeah, so once people are to the point where they want to do sort of some more classic lifting type things, then I think fat grafting is a better option. Because if you're in the operating room, see, the problems with fat grafting are that it has more recovery time, and you got to do it in an operating room, right? And so if you're going to piggyback it onto a surgical lift, then now the downsides are gone, right? And now you get the upsides, which is longevity, right? It lasts longer than fillers, and fat is cheap, right? You don't have to pay Allergan, $500 a syringe. You just pay a basic kind of surgeon's fee, which I promise is a lot less than what these large companies charge, and you can piggyback it onto the facelift, and we can be more comprehensive. We have a very good understanding of all the little areas that need a little volume. It's very, very nuanced how to really shape a face well, and it's hard to do it in one sitting with filler. It's a lot. So to be able to, we have one opportunity in surgery to do it with fat, and so we try that, and it really takes the facelift to another level, in my opinion.
And would you say, when you explain it like that, I'll just say women, do most women agree? Do they go for it?
Yeah, with fat grafting, sure. I mean, just about probably 90+% of the facelifts I do, I'm doing with fat grafting because I can make them see the logic in it, you know. But the other way that I'll talk about fat versus filler is just from an age thing. I say when you're in your, maybe 20s, but kind of 30s and 40s, I think you need less volume and you may not be ready for surgery. So filler makes a lot of sense. But once you kind of get into the facelift age group and you're kind of 50 and above classically, then fat grafting to me makes a lot of sense. That's to me the simplest way to put it.
Well, I hear you. Yes, I've experienced all of that. Yes, it's fantastic. I highly recommend it. So we're going to switch gears and talk about marketing because the craziest thing about Tim Marten is you can't find him anywhere. And I've known him for decades, and I think, where's his website? And then someone said, no, he doesn't have a website. And I said, what are you talking about? How do you not have a website? Like, I've never heard of anything like that. And I ran into him actually in Switzerland. And I said, where's your website? And his girlfriend was there, and she said, he just doesn't have one. I think, what's up? So I assume you have a beautiful website. What's up? Do you market yourself separately or as a practice?
He might be the last plastic surgeon on earth without a website. That's kind of a cool, I wish I could say that.
That's a differentiator.
But I mean, he's just so focused on this kind of old school mentality of just do a fantastic job, take care of patients. He teaches a lot and he gets a lot of patients. I mean, he's just built such a word of mouth kind of practice that he just doesn't really need it anymore. Now, I do think that you still, I think he I don't want to speak for him, but he probably would like to have those things. I don't think he's purposely trying not to do it. But at some point, it just doesn't have the same sort of kind of draw to do it as if you were a young surgeon. Obviously you need it. I clearly needed to do a lot of marketing. So I started with a website, and then the next phase in my kind of marketing plan was trying to get good reviews. I think I sort of felt 10 years ago, that was like the key thing to do. And initially, I think my practice was helped a lot through Yelp. And that built me up initially, nice website, Yelp. And then, again, I was going to ultimately rely on, I want to provide as the best product I can. I don't want to understate that. My goal was always, how do I learn to do this operation better? That's my number one form of marketing. And I really, that's underneath it all. I feel like marketing now that I've gotten, I've spent really kind of 10 years really focused on honing surgery, and I still do. That's my joy. That's what I enjoy doing. So that's what I'm going to focus on. But now that I've done that, I feel like it's gotten a little more fun to market because I can sort of now kind of like show it a little bit,
You show killer before and after photos, by the way, at the medical meetings. I've seen you speak, and your photos are killer. And it shows that you have gone the extra mile. You didn't just learn how to do a facelift. You learned how to do like a precision, like the nuances to it.
Yeah, that's what's fun for me. Again, like you said, there's a million ways to do it. There's a million ways to be successful. And for me, it was about, I love obsessing over the little nuances of surgery and learning it. That's what's joyful for me. So it turns out that also works well for marketing. But if you just do it silently, you're never going to get your name out there. So initially, I thought reviews was the way to do it, and that helped a lot. And you don't have to do a lot of work for reviews. All you got to do is ask a happy patient. Just suggest, hey, if you really like what we did, feel free to review. Or a lot of them do it without you even saying anything.
But you're not afraid to ask them for a review.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with that. If the patient is really happy, some of them just want to know how they can support you.
Yep.
And so it's just about, it's not about being very aggressive with it. It's just, you get a sense they want to help you as well. They're grateful, So when I get that energy kind of from a patient, then I'll mention, this is a great way to support us.
Well, I assure you,
and
they do it a lot.
I'm not even afraid.
What's that? They do it a lot more often when you ask them versus the staff. Because oftentimes the doctor's shy about it. Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm not afraid to tell them, hey, please mention if there's something I'm specifically doing and I want them to talk about it. I try to be very forward and say, share anything, even if it's kind of a little negative or something you didn't expect, share that. I think an honest experience is good, and describe the procedures too. You know, say the names of the procedures. So because they're our route to educating other patients in a way, the way we do things and what to expect. I think it helps the overall sort of patient experience as well for the next patient, because they kind of come in sort of educated, programmed about what to expect. So it's kind of a big circle that is all helping, each other in a way.
I think the two top things you can do in today's world are the reviews and killer before and after photos. Some surgeons still think they don't need to put their photos online. They right. insist on saying, oh no, my patients are very private about that. Right. If you have that closed-minded attitude, yes, your patients are going to be resistant, but you can't say that and then I go on somebody else's website or work with them. They have hundreds of facial plastic facials.
I think 100% right. 100%. Yeah. Now I'll tell you. I think where that has really now gone in another direction, and so to me, I sort of see the marketing in these kind of, the foundation which I described, and then kind of reviews. But now I feel like the next big step of that, and it kind of goes with the before and afters you're talking about, is social media. I was a little slow to kind of really catch on to it, but now I realize that to take it even beyond before and afters, I think videos, just posting lots of videos showing both before and afters, showing patients' kind of reaction to all these things, showing our discussion, anything that you can get on video that's organic, to me is really the next level of marketing, because again, it just gets back to exposure of what's really happening. That's, I think, what patients really want to know. And we can show that in video far better than just a static before and after photo.
Now, do you have a staff person following you around with an iPad or an iPhone, or are you doing your own, or how are you making that content happen?
Yeah, it's really hard because I had a very hard time getting around something that is intruding on my very private patient-surgeon interaction. It took me a long time to be able to integrate that, because I didn't want the patient to feel like I was just trying to take advantage of it. It didn't feel right at first. Right. So I've done it my own way, which is basically, the model for me has been rhinoplasty. For the facelift patients, a lot of them just aren't ready for that yet. So I really haven't tried to do too much with that. But for the rhinoplasty patients, they're mostly millennials. They're in their, teens and 20s and 30s. They're much more comfortable being videoed, and so their comfort has made me more comfortable. Right. And so what I try to do is, I have a set of videos that I try to take the morning of surgery. And I do that routinely. It's now just part of my routine before and after photo. Now it's just a before and after video process. And then afterwards, if they're really happy, if I have a good result or there's a lesson there that I want to teach, if I find a patient who I know is just very gregarious and outgoing and they're happy to be on camera, then I'll just shoot a little video of them in the same pattern that I took preoperatively. If they want to say something, I'll let them do that. And so because I'm archiving all the pre-op videos, now I'll just take all that and I'll put it into a nicely kind of curated video that tries to show different things. If you've looked at our Instagram, I'm really trying to do that more and more now. So to me, that has made a huge difference in sort of marketing. I went from doing, I really narrowed my practice because of the ability social media has given me to do that. I've done it in a very fast amount of time. Because I've been able to really brand myself through Instagram, basically.
As the nose guy?
As a nose person, because people click on Instagram and all they see is noses and, some facelift before and afters for the most part. So that right away, there's a brand there. This person does these procedures, right? So you don't, it just shows who you are, or at least even who you want to be,
And basically. Do you scout out the influencers? Is that part of what you're doing? I know a surgeon who actually has it on his patient intake form. How many followers do you have? Like that, yes. He takes that into consideration if he's going to work with them or not.
Well, not really. I've really not worked with any influencers. One, which just kind of happened organically, there's I did a rhinoplasty on a radio show host, which was awesome. I mean,
local TV?
Yeah, local radio.
Local radio? Nice.
Yeah. She talked about it a lot. They brought me on the radio to talk about it. It was a lot of fun, and turned out well. And I still get referrals from
Was
from
it
that,
Sarah and Vinny?
What is it?
Was it Sarah
No,
and Vinny?
it's 94.9. Wild 94.9 and Selena from the morning
that's
show.
terrific.
Yeah, they were really nice, and they really they didn't have to sort of bring me on the radio several times, and they just said a lot of nice things about me. So that was really nice.
Okay, nice. How much time do you think you're spending on social media? Is it a per day kind of thing?
Yeah, the funny thing is, as much as I think it's great for business, I actually try not to be on there too much, because I don't know how great it is for us, just personally. But what I do is I try to capture all the content. And again, once I integrate a couple videos that I think will make for a good, collage video before and after kind of thing, then I like to just forward that information to my marketing company, and then they have a videographer that puts it all together. I'm just kind of directing it, I'm giving them a bit of a vision, and I just let them kind of run with it.
And then who answers the DMs?
I do.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, well, the social media person from our company, Melissa, she does some of it. I do some of it. Yeah, it's not so overbearing that I can't kind of get to them all, Generally, I'll just, once they're interested in a consult or something like that, then I forward it. So I'm mostly just forwarding these things to the right person.
And have you figured out how to track the monetization of it?
No.
Okay. But you're pretty sure it's working.
Yeah,
It's kind of
I think
anecdotal?
so. I mean, I work a little bit more on just my feeling, what would my feeling be as a consumer? I'm not that technical into these things. I don't track numbers. I never really have. Like I said, my goal, I'm trying to think about it as organically as possible, which is I want to do good surgery, and I just want to put that surgery somewhere. People can see it, and let things sort of fall as they will. I feel like that's where most, I only have so much energy in a day, right? And I feel like if I just focus that energy in these couple arenas, then of course I could be much better on the business side of things, but that's what I enjoy. If I focus on that, then I feel like I'll get busy enough. At the end of the day, the goal is just to fill the surgery schedule. That's all I want to do. So if this accomplishes that, then I don't really need to worry too much about the numbers.
Right.
It might go against all the principles that you teach, and you, like I said, 100 times more about it than I do, but it kind of gets me enough, patients basically.
And well, you have to look at who you are and your marketing channels and which ones work for you and which ones don't. I'm a big firm believer in look at your numbers. Most of you, I think what's happened is if somebody shows up and really pushes you, you buy the ad or you buy the radio time, or if a person's doing that, it's a proactive kind of thing. Otherwise, a lot of you will just give all your money to the PPC guy, the internet guy, or the ad person said, okay, do this, and okay, I'll do that. As long as you're tracking the numbers to that, I'm all about that, because too many of you have put your money in so many different baskets, but only 2 of them are working. So I always say, take it out of the other baskets, put it in these 2, and stay there until it doesn't work, and then come up with another plan.
Well, yeah. So if you to get a little bit more detailed, I basically I have one marketing company that does it's Studio 3, and
of course, I love them.
Yeah, I've had a great experience with them. If anybody wants to use them,
they're good.
And they do SEO and social media for me. So basically, that's all my marketing. I don't, you could probably educate me about SEO. I get a sense that it still drives, just being ranked high on Google for keywords seems to make sense to me, you know, still. I don't know how much it does. Maybe you can tell me a little bit. But the part that I feel like is ultimately long-term more powerful is the social part. So that's where I'm investing my personal energy into. But again, I also enjoy it. I like seeing these videos, you know, showing off the work in a cool way. Makes me happy, you know. So that's where I'm trying to focus.
I will say my only 2 cents for you, the position you guys are in. You have a beautiful database of patients who love you, and I just hope you're keeping in touch with them and honoring their loyalty and taking care of them, because I don't think you have to do any more marketing if you're taking good care of your internal list, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, you guys have done the hard part, you know?
Right. What are your thoughts on SEO? What are your thoughts on SEO? Like, what's the current state of SEO?
Well, you know how you attend I attend all the marketing stuff, and it's always SEO is dead, SEO is dead. And the point being, it is getting more difficult for a patient or a consumer to get online and say, and they don't say rhino, they say like nose surgeon or nose job pricing, you know? So you have to figure out what those keywords are. And just when you figure it out, all the algorithms change. But I do think your name has to be found. I mean, I hope to God when you guys, except for your name, your name is too difficult. So I love that you call yourself Dr. Dino. I hope you have an SEO search term for that, like Dr. Dino in San Francisco. I always try to think like a patient does, you know, like, okay, wait a second. My girlfriend mentioned Dr. Dino, and then I would go online and say, oh, Dr. Dino San Francisco. And I would hope you would.
Well, my website is Dino MD, so hopefully that makes it come up easier.
For sure, yeah. I mean, I must say it's getting more difficult for them to find you organically from the website, because you're competing with ASAPs and all those guys. But I do think you have to be there somehow, some way. But a lot of times it's going to be through Google, like Google reviews or whatever. Google, quite frankly, Google owns the world. So whatever they says goes right now for the near foreseeable future. So if they think reviews are important, get Google reviews. Forget the Yelp. Get Google reviews. You know, that's
totally. Yeah. I get the sense patients use all these avenues to make their decision. They probably look at each one before they ultimately kind of make a decision. So I think you need a little bit of presence, at least on some of the bigger platforms. You know,
like.
Don't you think?
Like what?
Well, just like search-wise, you kind of come up, and you know, you have a website. They just kind of resonates with them a little bit. They go Yelp, and there's some reviews. They search you on like Facebook or Instagram, and you have a presence there. Just kind of like legitimizes you, I guess, you know.
For sure. I would say the majority of patients they say they heard about you on, let's say, social. They went to your Instagram, but what happened was their girlfriend mentioned you, or they were on Instagram and something happened and caught their eye, and then they went to your website, and now they say they heard from you from the internet, and that's not helpful. So it's really difficult to track nowadays, and that's why you're trying to be everywhere, doing everything. I have a video called The Content Creation Machine, and it's all about cross-referencing everything. So when you have a piece of video, get it on everything humanly possible.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So to wrap things up, what's one of the biggest mistakes you've made, and what did you learn from it?
Well, we're talking about professionally?
Yeah. Professionally.
I would probably say that I was kind of late to really embrace social media. You know, I was kind of humming along with just sort of reviews and thinking about the work, and I saw a lot of my friends really get aggressive on social media, and I thought it was sort of silly at the time, you know. And now I kind of feel like there's more advantages than just the marketing side. It's interesting to me that during COVID, I did a lot of virtual consults, and it seemed like a lot of the patients. And this happens more and more to me, that I've started to get a sense that, you know, in the old days consults for me, in old days I just mean like, 5-6 years ago, they were there like really kind of trying to get to know me. And I feel like now through social media, they almost already have determined they want to choose me, and they're there more as a formality. They just want to sort of like hear my voice, just make some kind of connection, make sure I'm not like a crazy person, and get some details of the questions they want answered. But they almost seem sort of pre-selected in a way.
Yes.
And it's really taught me that the more we are really open about every step of things, and show that all on Instagram. They've combed through it. They've combed through all these videos, and they're kind of like they have all their questions answered. You know, at the end of the day, people want to just know what kind of result they can get all their questions answered, and sort of move forward. And it seems like we can do a lot of that process just online, you know, as part of the search process. The education just goes with it, you know.
For sure.
And so that makes our job a lot easier. So there's all these other benefits of social media and all that I really didn't fully understand. You know, why couldn't you just do that on your website? But it's actually, it seems easier to do it through Instagram. You know, updating a website isn't as easy as just kind of continually posting every day. You know, so it seems like a more dynamic version of our content, you know, an easier version. So it took me a little while to really understand that, and now I'm kind of all aboard it. But you know, everyone else got it before I did.
Well, the consumers are going to demand it, because nowadays you don't get to be on a pedestal. They want to know you as a person, and they want to trust that you're who you say you are. And you just show so much more personality in video. And Instagram, you did the cutest post with your wife. And that is so endearing. Did you get a ton of response from that?
Did, yeah.
Oh my God.
I mean,
we women, that's what we want. We want a man that says, oh my God, she's my life, you know, that kind of thing. It's just so good for you. That had to bump you up a few notches.
Well, it really is. It's the truth. But I kind of struggle with trying to get too personal on there. You know, I almost like I don't know. I'm still trying to figure out where that line is for me personally. You know, I know patients want to get to know us, and I probably should kind of post more videos of just me maybe discussing things so they can get to know me better. It took me a while to get to that point, and I don't know. You want to put a really good like the videos for me are very carefully created, and it takes a lot of energy for me maybe to do that also personally, you know, to personally put videos out there. I might be a little too, I don't know. I just want that carefully crafted as well. And I don't think you really need to. You can just be kind of not be so polished and just put it out there, and it worked fine. But it's something I'm learning, you know, maybe I'll go more in that direction. But I don't know, I'd still rather keep it professional, you know, than to get too personal, because I don't know how much that really helps people really understand what we're providing. You know, I think some people go way far in the wrong direction in terms of just, you know, it has nothing to do with plastic surgery or anything anymore, you know, and they just want to kind of be Instagram famous.
Right. But the women love to know, like if you're a runner and they're a runner, it's a great bonding experience. If you love dogs, oh my God, I love dogs. It's a very bonding thing. So I would do some of that. I probably would stay away from politics at this point. It's just too hot of a topic, you know. But I do know the consumer is looking to bond with you and find pieces that she'll sell that. She'll say that to you too when she meets you. She'll say, like, if you had a dog, oh my God, I loved your dog, you know. And so
that's something I could be better at for sure.
Do you have a dog?
I do, yeah.
Oh my God, bring him out, or him or her. They love that. I love that. So.
Part of it is also my personality. I'm slightly more of a kind of introverted person, and so maybe that shows a little too. So in some ways, I'm showing my personality a little bit by not showing as much.
Right,
you know?
That's endearing too.
It's honest, you know.
All right, so the last question, as long as we're on that topic, what's something that we do not know about you that's pretty darn interesting?
I don't know. I've, you know, as I've matured a little bit in practice, I've finally been able to think like, what are my, you know, what kind of hobbies do I want to develop? I don't really have that many. Last year I started, I always wanted to play the guitar, so I started taking guitar lessons last year. And I did it for like 6 months. I was really into it. And then, I don't know what happened. I just kind of put it down for a while. I'd love to pick it back up again, but I don't know how much energy I have to do it. I started meditating recently a lot, sort of last year. And so probably every morning for 10 minutes now. I've been doing it for a few months kind of consistently. It's like the first thing I do every morning is meditate for 10 minutes.
Good for you. I did the same thing. For me to sit still for 10 minutes was an act of God. But I have been much better at it. I do it twice a day, the 10 minutes. Yeah. I've tried the 20 at a time. I'm sorry. I'm too darn hyper. I can't. But it has been the best thing, especially when the world feels like it's coming to an end. You better get into yourself. You better settle down and figure out who you are. Because...
Totally. I think it's the best. I mean, for 10 minutes, it's like really so valuable. It's probably the most high yield thing I think anybody can do,
I totally agree.
How do you do it? Do you use an app or do you?
I use Headspace. But the problem with Headspace app, the guy talks all the time. He talks too much. My whole problem is I need to stop thinking and talking, and I just need to sit still. So I just sit very quietly, and I just listen to my breath, and I just chill for 2 seconds. Just stop everything.
I don't think there's a wrong, I mean, I guess there's somewhat of a wrong way, but there's so many ways to do it. I use this app called Waking Up.
Oh, okay.
Have you heard of it?
No.
Yeah, it's this guy, Sam Harris. He's
I love Sam Harris.
It's
He's
his
a
app.
trip. Have you listened to him have you heard his philosophy on things? He's a trip. I mean, if you think about the way he thinks, we're not actually in charge of any of this. And I think, oh, dear God, you're messing with my head now. So I'm not sure exactly what he's up to, but very interesting.
Yeah, I really like, what's cool about him, he's sort of a scientist. He's really kind of melding these two sort of East and West worlds, which I find really interesting. That whole kind of area is sort of my fascination,
Oh, that's so funny. I thought I was the only one like going guru, like foofy, like I live in Northern California and I keep thinking, wow, the more I live here, the more I go inward and try to figure all this out.
I think it's kind of the Northern California thing away, which I'm sort of proud of. There's a lot of people like that here, which is cool.
That's great. All right. How can they learn more about you? If anyone wanted to get a hold of you, I know your website is dinomd.com. Are all of your Instagram and Facebook all of that?
Yeah. Instagram is Dr. Dino Elyassnia, DR, and then my full name. Mm-hmm. I think Facebook is DinoMD. I respond to all the direct messaging on the DMs on Instagram, so that's a simple way to reach me. And my website is just my email is just dino@dinomd.
Oh, so nice. Nice. All right. How do you say your last name?
Elyassnia. Elyassnia.
Oh, dear Lord. Okay. Yeah, that's a tough one. Yeah. Okay.
That's all right. Well, do that next time.
All right. Well, thank you so much for being on Beauty and the Biz.
Yes, it was my
I really
pleasure.
appreciate it. Thank you. So everybody, if you got a lot out of this, would you please go to Beauty and the Biz and subscribe? And we'd love a 5-star if you feel so inclined. And then if you've got any questions or feedback for me, please hit me up at my website. It's catherinemaley.com. And then you can always find me on Instagram like everybody else. And I'm at Catherine Maley MBA. Thanks so much. Have a great day.